Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Canal Days, What Life is Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley. As always, I am your host Carrie, along with my co-host founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comu. Our Canal Days series explores historic sites throughout Massachusetts with Robert's expertise of the state's history as our personal guide. Each episode, we discover another historic location or landmark, exploring the significance within. Today's episode, we will be exploring the Protestant churches of Chicopee, Massachusetts. Unravel the various churches, Protestant churches of Chicopee.
There are very many of them, and yes, there's a companion piece to this, the Catholic churches of Chicopee, but there's so many I had to split it into two. Now, they came first, not by much though in Chicopee cases, because the first Catholic church ever was in Chicopee, ever in Western Massachusetts, and so there's churches like the Third Congregational Church of Chicopee, which started a very long time around the 1830s or so, despite what the plaque says on that church you see there, because there was other renditions of it. And then there's also the First Central Baptist Church that started around the 1830s. The Chicopee Falls United Methodist Church that started around 1828. And then there's a few modern ones. The Church of Christ on Montgomery Street from 1958, and the St. Christopher Episcopal Church on Stryber Drive from 1962. All right, and they're different in look. So you got the very stout ones that are such as the Grace Episcopal Church. And that one that's there now is from 1897. And there's a lot of different styles to these, Gothic and Romanesque, large and small. So you have quite the difference. Now, compared to the Catholic churches, that most of them are smaller, all right, and the denominations, of course, are older, and the Catholics outnumbered the Protestants in Chicopee by quite a bit, and so that's why there's so many Catholic churches.
And can you delineate for us how some of these churches compare and differ?
Okay, I'll mention a few along the way. There's so many of them, so it's hard to get into each one of them. There's a very tiny one called United Presbyterian Church, and that was in 1925, or 100 years ago. And it's in the Greek Revival style, but it's very small. That one's found in Dana, right off of Dana Park. And it's definitely a Catholic church, but it's so incredibly small. And you could almost compare that to the Third Congregational Church, which is so big, or even the First Central Baptist Church, which is quite large. Now, as a comparison, most of these churches in Chicopee started around the 1820s and 30s, and they moved into the second and sometimes third edition of themselves. But some of them are quite modern. I mentioned a few of those. The St. Christopher's Episcopal Church. And that was because you started getting more people move out further from the center of the falls of Chicopee out into the outskirts like Fairview and Willimantic itself. Now, some other differences is you have a lot of different denominations here. It covers quite a bit. I'll give you one that's quite different from all the others. It's the Belleau Baptist Church. That was an offspring itself of the Second Baptist Church of Holyoke, not of Chicopee. It's in the Willimantic neighborhood, and it's still a quite functional church, but it's very tiny. It's probably the smallest church in Chicopee, and there's some very tiny churches around. And so you're getting quite a different difference between these. And I'll mention another one in this section, the Faith United Methodist Church. And that one itself is about medium size. It has a typical look of a church, and it has a belfry with a bell inside of it. The church that's there now is from 1930, but it replaced one that was from 1893.
And stay tuned, and we will be right back after this quick break. Are you fascinated by history and eager to explore the hidden gems of Massachusetts? Or maybe just looking for an enjoyable cultural activity for the family? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Camus. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating public tours and presentations of historical sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, or charming old churches, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not all. You can also book private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized and unforgettable adventure. Perfect for families with groups of all sizes, making an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit hoyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com to schedule your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy on the go or from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the history right to your screen. So why wait? Discover the past with historical tours of Greater Holyoke and make memories that will last a lifetime. And remember to log on to hoyokecanaltour.org for more information today. Welcome back to our Canal Days episode of the Protestant churches in Chicopee, Massachusetts. And can you clarify where the Chicopee Falls United Methodist Church was located?
It's on, or was on, the sharp corner formed by Broadway Street and East Street. There's now a parking lot, but in front of that parking lot there's a plaza, and then there's a rock with a plaque on it. That was the location of the Chicopee Falls Methodist Church. And it had a long history, and I'm mentioning now just because I keep want to compare some of these churches. You know, they almost all started around 1820s and 30s in Chicopee. And remember, there was no Chicopee until 1848. So all these churches formed in Springfield. But that part of Springfield, the northern part of it, became Chicopee. So almost all these Protestant churches are Springfield churches. Now, on this church here, the plaque that they made for it on this rock in this plaza shows you a picture of it, so you get to see what it was like. It gives you the year 1828 and 2007. I remember quite distinctly this church. It might have been small, but it was in a very prominent location, and people definitely miss it. It was right across the street from another church, and down at another church there was the Catholic Church, St. George. So this was like a church corner. And I'm glad they put a nice little plaque up on it. The church itself might have started in 1828, but it wasn't dedicated with a formal church there until June 2nd, 1842. That's when the church was actually made, that stayed around for 165 years. Before that, they had a very temporary location, probably in people's houses. So this is a nice, quaint little church, but it's gone.
And can you describe to us the history, features, and significance of the Third Congregation Church of Chicopee?
Now, right away by the name, you can tell something's up, because it started so long ago, probably in the 1830s, when, again, it was part of Springfield. So there was no Chicopee. And so why is it taken on the Third Congregational Church of Chicopee? Well, it was the Third Congregational Church of Springfield when it was made. And it was in the northern part of Springfield. In 1848, when Chicopee finally was made, then you would have its name changed from the Third Congregational Church of Springfield to the Third Congregational Church of Chicopee. They could have renamed it the First Congregational Church of Chicopee also. And you're going to find it on Springfield Street, the corner of Pearl. This is not the first edition of the church. The first edition was close by. But the one there now is from 1867. And it had a very famous architect who did a few churches in Springfield, including the South Congregational Church. His name was Charles Parker. And this church here was well made. In the very back, you have a large chapel, extremely large chapel. And then the rectory was to the right side of the church. It's now a person's house. And inside there's a nice stained glass window and organ, so forth. This is a church made definitely in the traditional style of a church. So a lot of Protestant churches in Chicopee, and I try to find some comparisons and contrasts between them all.
And thanks for tuning in to Canal Days and today's episode on the Protestant churches of Chicopee, Massachusetts, and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden gems and fascinating stories that shape our past in the state of Massachusetts. With special thanks to Robert Camus, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep exploring and discovering the history that surrounds us. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to tune into our next episode of the Catholic Churches of Chicopee. Until next time.